Some of you may be looking at this scene right now and saying, what the hell is going on? Corbin's in shorts, there's giant piles of snow around him. Well, this is emblematic of what an awful winter we had. We've had 50 plus inches of snow here in New England, and we've had bitter cold, sub-freezing temperatures. But today is a beautiful day here in March. It's 60 degrees out. Today's video is my 1-year, 10,000 mile review of my 2025 Ioniq 5 Limited all-wheel drive, seen here in digital teal. Now, I'm a little late to the review. I bought this car in January of 2025. I flew out to Stevenson Hyundai of Frederick in Colorado, and I drove it back to Boston through snowstorms, through bitter temperatures, and I've been driving it for the past year. I've got a lot of thoughts. If you guys have been watching the channel regularly through the Christmas timeframe, you know I had some serious issues with this car, but there's also been a lot of good. So let's dive in and talk about everything that's happened with my 2025 Ioniq 5. So let's start out by talking about the biggest issue I had with this car. You've probably seen one of the multiple videos I've made on it. Around Thanksgiving of last year, we took the car down to the Philadelphia area for the holiday, and I noticed very quickly really bad charging speeds. It just wasn't charging like it should, and range was also suffering. And later on, I got a diagnostic trouble code saying that the battery pack needed to be replaced. Now, this wasn't something that Hyundai wasn't aware of. There was a technical service bulletin released in the spring of 2025 talking about how this issue might pop up on 2025 Ioniq 5s. Built until about the April timeframe. And of course, with my luck, I was one of the people that succumbed to this issue. So what that meant is my car went into the dealership, got a new battery pack, took a few weeks, but then I got it back and the dealership did not purge the coolant system properly. I had issues with battery conditioning. The reservoir eventually drained to nothing, and then that caused the heating element for the battery heating system to burn up. And ultimately it had to go back several more times to get that fixed. So all in all, it was about 6 weeks or so going back and forth to the dealership for service, but everything is good now. I've got a new battery pack. Unfortunately, what that means though is that I'm not able to test battery degradation after 1 year, which is something I like to do with my long-term review vehicles. So I don't have that data to share with you guys, which is a bummer. I checked battery capacity when the new battery pack was installed, and it was basically close to brand new. It was basically a brand new battery. So battery capacity right now is right where it would be had I just bought the car. Here you can see we've done 10,326 miles, and you can see my trip is actually exactly the same. So we can get a good sense of my average efficiency over the last 12 months, which is only 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty bad. And I can't really say whether or not this number here is accurate, because when the battery pack was failing, my efficiency was also taking a hit. So this number could be artificially skewed downwards. If you guys recall, when I had my 2022 Ioniq 5, I think after 10 or 20,000 miles, I was averaging a little over 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Granted, that was the SEL, which was a little bit more efficient than the limited trim because it had smaller wheels. But I would still expect to see this number closer to 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour after 10,000 miles. So unfortunately, I don't have a solid number to give you guys, but if we're going off of this, yeah, the car has had pretty bad efficiency. But by that same token, this number is also having driven through 2 winters and only 1 summer, so maybe it'll go up over the next few months going into next winter. Another issue I ran into last summer when I was detailing the car for my 6-month review is that I found out that my side view mirror was missing all 3 bolts that held it onto the car. The mirror was only held on by the alignment clips that attach the car temporarily before they can get the bolts in. So I reached out to Hyundai, they sent me the bolts, I took the trim off the inside and bolted the mirror on properly, and yeah, things have been good since, but that was a little troublesome. They've definitely been having some teething issues at the new factory. I actually had an owner reach out to me the other day. He just went to have a trailer hitch installed on his car, and the bumper piece that's supposed to be under the exterior panel here was missing from his car, and he had not had anything done to it from the time he bought it. It was a brand new car, so the factory completely missed a gigantic piece of plastic that's supposed to be under the bumper. There were also a couple recalls for the car. One being the labeling here on the headlights was incorrect from the factory, so they sent me little stickers that had to get applied to them to make them compliant or whatever with the federal government regulations. And then there was also another recall about a wiring harness under the rear seat that needed to be inspected because there was the possibility that it wasn't crimped properly and it could prevent one of the airbags from not going off or something. But that was taken care of when the car was in getting its battery pack replaced. So all the recalls on the car have been completed. The only real modification I've done to the car since I got it was installing the Torklift Central ECO hitch. I did that, I think, June of last year for hauling my bike rack around and our 2 bikes. Installation was super easy. I installed the trailer lighting too, so I can tow my teardrop trailer. Hopefully this summer. We haven't used it in a couple seasons, but I'm itching to do some camping with it again finally. In terms of the paint and just how everything's holding up, the front end looks better than I expected it would after a year of highway driving in greater Boston. The silver trim is actually pretty free of chips and nicks from road debris and such. So I'm pretty impressed with how well that's holding up because some of the photos of the older 2022 Ioniq 5s, this silver just gets beat to crap. Same thing with the hood. I haven't really done any touch-up paint on here. There was one spot here where I did use some touch-up, but I think that's the only spot. I'm still rocking the Rain-X wiper blades that I installed last winter. These are silicone. They've been holding up well through this awful winter, so pretty impressed with those. They are expensive. I think I paid like $60 for the pair, maybe $70. I think they might have been $30, $35 a piece. But in my opinion, they were well worth the money. So let's talk about the rear windshield wiper on the Ioniq 5. So I spent 3 years living with the 2022 Ioniq 5, which doesn't have a rear wiper. So I kind of just got accustomed to not having one and just having a filthy rear window. And I will be perfectly honest, since I got my 2025 Ioniq 5, I think I've turned on my rear wiper maybe 2-3 times. I don't think I turned it on once all winter. I have been relying basically on the digital rear view mirror, which I've really come to love. At first, it took me a long time to get used to how your eyes adjust when you go from the road to the mirror. And now I basically always leave this in this mode. Sometimes at night, if the flickering of the lights due to the camera's refresh rate are annoying, I will flip it down into standard mode. But for the most part, I just leave it in digital rear view mirror mode. And I really just don't long for the wiper actually, which is gonna surprise a lot of you because I know many of you will say, it's a deal breaker for you that the old version didn't have one. So I really don't care that it even has it right now. I'm still just so happy with the design of the Ioniq 5. I think it still looks so fresh, so cool. These wheels on the limited all-wheel drive, my all-time favorite wheels for the Ioniq 5. I think they look really nice. Something I'll say about the stock tires here on the limited trim, these Michelin Primacies, these are horrible winter tires. So if you are getting one of these cars and are going to be doing serious winter driving in the snow, I'd highly suggest getting a set of winter tires for the car. I didn't put mine on because I don't have to go and drive in the snow anymore because I don't commute to work. So I just left these on. Really bad in the snow, really bad on ice. So yeah, not the best tire in my opinion. This summer, I'm probably going to experiment with putting on my smaller Martian wheels, which are 19s. They're also forged alloys, so they're significantly lighter, and possibly testing out if there's any big difference between these larger wheels versus smaller wheels in terms of efficiency, because the cars with the smaller wheels are rated for a longer range with the same size battery, so might play around with that this year. Now, something I have to mention, even though I have not experienced it with any of my Ioniq cars, be it my 2022 Ioniq 5, my 2024 Ioniq 6, or this car, I have not had an ICCU failure. But with that being said, there are still many owners of 2025s, and I've even heard reports from 2026 owners of failed ICCUs. And anybody who spends any amount of time in any of the Facebook groups, subreddits, or forums, you will know that it is an issue that a lot of people deal with. And over this past winter, it seemed to hit a fever pitch. About a month ago, 2 months ago, I heard from people who were bringing their cars to dealerships with them that they had dozens of cars sitting on the lots. That's all anecdotal, but that is what the service managers were saying. They were saying there was a massive lead time to get replacement ICCUs. The past few weeks, I've heard that those times are dropping. Some people are getting them in 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. But yeah, it's still an issue, and I really wish it wasn't because I'm tired of talking about it. But if you are thinking about buying one of these cars, you have to know that it could potentially have an ICCU failure, leaving you without a car for several weeks. Last summer, I will say people were bringing their cars in with ICCU failures, and they were being replaced within a day. Some had them in stock, and they just replaced them right there on the spot. It only takes about 90 minutes, 2 hours to do the replacement, and it is covered under the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. We are seeing newer part numbers for ICCUs that are going into cars when they go in for replacement. I don't know if that's going to fix the issue, but I sure hope it does. Because this issue just really needs to be ended once and for all. So what has life been like driving the first car other than Tesla to come with a NACS J3400 port in the United States? It's been fine. At first, when I got the car, if you tried to use a Tesla supercharger, it would fail almost 50% of the time within the first minute or two after plugging in. But over the last 6 months, something had been done on the back end, and I haven't had any failed charging sessions at Tesla. Granted, I haven't been charging at Tesla superchargers all that much in the last 6 months, but the couple times that I have not had issues. Plug and charge works perfectly. Plug and charge was finally released, I think last May or June. It came as an OTA software update. And it's nice that you can just go in here and turn it off, because if you go somewhere where it doesn't offer plug and charge and you have that activated, it can cause some communication issues, such as Electrify America. I've had issues with getting the car activated there. So if I'm not going to use plug and charge, I usually just leave it turned off. But it's nice that you just have a quick little toggle you can use to activate and deactivate. I use it at the Ioniq station near me, and it works flawlessly every time. It is kind of slow. Having just spent some time in a Tesla Model Y, you plug that in, it starts charging within 3 seconds, I would say. I timed it at Ioniq. That plug-in charge is about 45 to 50 seconds. It's about the same amount of time that it would take for you to tap to pay. So there's really no speed benefit to plug-in charge at Ioniq, at least. But it does make it just a little less complicated. I could give this car to my mom and she could road trip at Ioniq stations and not have to worry about tapping to pay or any failed payments or anything. So that has been nice. I will say that having to deal with adapters is pretty annoying. I really look forward to the country moving over to NACS in a rapid fashion. A lot of new charging stations are coming with native NACS connectors. Mercedes-Benz high power, oh, don't close. Mercedes-Benz high power charging is now installing NACS connectors on a lot of their new stations. Ioniq has always done NACS charging. And Electrify America is now starting to roll out NACS connectors at their stations that are utilizing the new Alpitronic Hypercharger HYC 400s, the same chargers that Ioniq and Mercedes-Benz are using. So the transition is happening, and I'm so excited for it. Whenever I go to Ioniq, I don't use an adapter, I just plug into a NACS cord. Outside the issues I had with my battery pack, charging speeds are great with this car. I still think it's unfortunate now that even though you do have a slightly larger battery pack, you've lost 2 minutes of time charging from 10 to 80%. So instead of 18 minutes like it used to be with the old Ioniq 5, it's 20 minutes now. And that only seems to be because of the transition to NACS. Because in other countries that don't have a NACS port, they still advertise as 10 to 80% in 18 minutes. The new clickier button here is also a huge improvement over that of the 2024 and older Ioniq 5, and it's also really nice that you do have an LED light in here now. That is really nifty at night. Now, I haven't used a roof rack with the new Ioniq 5 since I got it. I'm probably not going to invest in one. We don't carry our bikes on the roof. We don't have kayaks or skis or anything that we would want to put on the roof, so I don't really want to invest in the system. But I do think just in general, the look of the roof rack rails definitely improved the overall just kind of SUV-ishness of the Ioniq 5. Unfortunately for the 2026 model year, they kind of eliminated the roof rails on, I think it's the SEL trim now, so it's only on, I believe, the XRT and the Limited. The headlights on the Ioniq 5 are pretty meh to me. Having just driven the Tesla Model Y that has Matrix headlights, I was really impressed with those. These do not swivel, they do not have any matrix functionality. So in my opinion, they're kind of lackluster here in the US. When I commented on this in my Tesla Model Y video, a lot of you people outside of the US who own the Ioniq 5 told me that in your countries, these are matrix headlights. So it must be just a US thing. Maybe when they redesign the Ioniq 5 in the next year or two, we should get matrix headlights, hopefully. But until then, I'm going to complain that these are not the best headlights I've ever had in a car. I have absolutely loved having all the cameras around the car. So there's the front bumper camera, and then you've got the two that are on either side of the mirrors, and that gives you a full 360-degree view of your surroundings. You can go here and you can spin around the car if you want. It just makes parking in the city super easy. I don't think I could go back to a car that doesn't have this type of camera system. I've just really grown to love it. Something that I know a lot of you have not grown to love is the driver attention camera. I personally don't have any issues with it, but I know a lot of you do. There's been a software update in the past year to improve it. But for many people who have issues with prescription glasses, it just prevents them from being able to use highway drive assist on the highway, because if you deactivate it and then activate highway drive assist right here, it will automatically turn that system back on. And if it thinks you're not looking at the road, even though you are, it will disengage. So that's a huge issue. Hyundai cheaped out on the sensor they were using, or so I've been told. And that is causing a lot of the issues that they're having. Now, something else I had to do related to the battery pack replacement was replace my 12-volt battery, because last month I came out to the car one day and it was dead. And it most likely is due to the fact that when they had the car, they didn't put a battery tender on this like they're supposed to when everything is being done. So they likely killed my 12-volt battery. I said, I'm done dealing with this dealership. I don't feel like having the car go back for a warranty replacement of the same crappy battery. So all I did was order this EverStart Platinum AGM battery from Walmart. I swapped this in, have had no issues since. I had no issue with the original battery up until the point where it went in for the battery pack replacement. And to monitor the health of this 12-volt battery, I installed an Ansell BM200 so I can check my 12-volt battery health from an app on my phone. Just going to keep an eye on it and see how it's doing. So far, so good. I am going to be putting out a video relatively soon on how to swap out your 12-volt battery. I'm just going to redo it with this battery. So the 12-volt battery that came with this car originally was a standard sealed lead acid. That was standard on the 2025 in the United States. It's possible they switched to AGM later in the 2025 production run, but for sure the 2026 Ioniq 5s in the US are all now coming with AGM batteries, which are better for deeper discharge. They're much less likely to just die for no apparent reason. So Hyundai has finally done what they should have done years ago and put in the right 12-volt battery for the car. If you didn't see, I made a video on some of my favorite accessories for the new Ioniq 5, and one of them was this license plate adapter that allows you to shift it up a little bit further on this bumper panel here, because previously the license plate would come down to about here and it looked really stupid. So now it's tucked up nicely right under the lift gate. So I think it looks a lot better. I'll leave a link in the description to that accessories video if you are interested in checking out how to install that. I actually did do another modification, I forgot. I did tint the front windows to get a little bit closer to the rear. You can see they're still pretty significantly lighter than the rear's privacy glass, but in Massachusetts, this is the legal level. Because the car does have to get inspected yearly, they would make you take that off during an inspection if it were any darker than that. I think it does a lot to improve the look of the exterior, and it does block a lot of UV, so your arm's not getting cooked if you're resting it on the upper door panel here. So overall, the exterior is holding up well. I haven't had any electronic bits fail or anything. Everything's working as it should, sans that issue with the battery pack and the 12-volt. Something that does happen intermittently is with phone is key. I'll walk up to the car, and it's not going to do it right now because it happens relatively very little, but I'll walk up to the car, the door handles won't deploy, the side mirrors will not pop open, and until I open up my phone and unlock it with my Face ID, it doesn't open the doors. I would say this happens at least maybe once every couple weeks. My phone is always up to date. It's always on the newest version of iOS. So I don't know if it's an issue with incompatibility with new versions of iOS or what, but it does happen, and it is pretty annoying. Now, moving to the inside of the Ioniq 5, everything's pretty good. The materials are all holding up well. The seat bottoms looking good, showing no signs of cracking or anything. I know that is an issue with some of the older 2022, 2023 Ioniq 5s. They're really starting to show their age. I look on Carvana and Cars.com a lot, and I don't know what some people are doing in their cars, but the side bolsters, the bottom of the side cushions just beat to crap. Steering wheels just completely worn down. I think that's probably due to hand sanitizer on people's hands interacting with the leather and just wearing it out and having a chemical reaction. No issues here with my car. The steering wheel looks great. Seat bottoms look great. Of course, because I'm bald, I get a little bit of a halo here on the headrest from the oils from my head getting onto the seat material. I've got my Liner X floor mats in here. They've done a great job this past winter. You can purchase those on my website if you're interested in some all-weather floor mats. Now, a feature I haven't really used all that much is relaxation mode with the driver's seat. I just don't find for my body size it works all that well. I find this calf rest for my height to be pretty much useless. It basically is just behind the back of my knee. So it doesn't really do much for me. If you're a shorter person, maybe it does. But the times I find myself charging, I think I've activated this seating position maybe once, maybe twice. So for me, I really don't care that the car even has it. If it could eliminate some of the cost in the car, I'd say just get rid of it. It's kind of just a party feature to me. But if you guys use it often, let me know down in the comments section. I know a lot of you live in your cars more than I do, so maybe you like it. If you own a 2022 through 2024 Ioniq 5, your car has a different material on this section here. Here in the 2025, they got rid of that kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like a textured vinyl material. Now it's just hard injection molded plastic. And I'm cool with that because this past winter, when I get in and out of the car, sometimes my feet drag along here. And this is super easy to clean, unlike with the previous material where you kind of worry about scratching it or doing damage to it, depending on how hard you're scrubbing. So I think this was a welcome change to just get rid of that, make this a nice, easy to clean plastic panel. I am loving the fact that they recessed the child door lock button for the 2025 model year. It used to sit proud of the edge here, and every time I rested my hand here, I would inadvertently press that and activate it. And with filming a lot of videos in the car, there were times I would get in the back seat, shut the doors, and then I wouldn't be able to get out. I'd have to crawl over the center console to get to the front to hit the button to open it. I'm also really liking that they added the charge port door opening button to the inside of the car here. I use this all the time. Having the head-up display again is also really nice. I haven't had that in a car since my 2020 Mazda CX-5. Really like that. I very rarely look at the driver display anymore. I basically just use that for getting my speed data. Below the digital mirror, you will see my Comma 3X running Sunny Pilot. This is basically a souped up version of highway drive assist. It's a lot better. It's staying in the lane. You don't have to keep your hands on the steering wheel with it. It will not nag at you. Just to be clear, it will not prevent issues with the driver attention warning. You'll still get issues with that. But I do most of my highway driving with the Comma 3X and Sunny Pilot activated. It did take about 6 months for the developers of Sunny Pilot to get it fully working with the 2025 Ioniq 5 and all the newer Hyundai, Kia, Genesis vehicles that do have newer software and newer computers for controlling highway drive assist, but it's working perfectly now. If I'm on the highway, I pretty much always have this active. They now have a Comma 4, which is much smaller. It sits almost flush up against the windshield, so you don't have this big giant screen taking up some of your line of sight out the front. But to me, it just greatly improves the car for long distance drives. None of this is to say that regular highway drive assist in the car is bad. I find it to be a little bit better than in the old Ioniq 5. It keeps its lane. It's great in bumper to bumper, stop and go traffic. You can go 4 or 5 minutes without having to really interact with the steering wheel very much at highway speeds. Of course, you should keep your hand or at least a few fingers on the steering wheel because it is capacitive. So instead of it being torque based like the old steering wheel where you had to actually physically turn the wheel to let it know you're there, now you can just literally rest one single finger on it and it knows you're there. But I find that it's decent. I just still really prefer the Comma 3X with Sunny Pilot. Now, hearkening back to my Model Y review video, something that car has that I really wish the Ioniq 5 in the US had was automatic heated cooled seats. Now, I did get a lot of comments from you guys overseas that said that your cars have this feature, automatic ventilated and heated seats and steering wheel. In the US Ioniq 5, if you turn on your heated seats, it's just level 3, level 2, level 1, or off. There is no auto mode. So if it's cold out and you get in the car, they can't automatically turn on. If you get out of the car for 5 seconds and get back in it, it resets. You have to turn them back on. Now, I will say that because the 2025 now has hard buttons, it's so much easier to do now compared to the 2024 and earlier Ioniq 5. But I still find it really annoying now that you do have to press that button every time. So I really wish that Hyundai would implement that in the US. I don't know why we don't have that, why it's only outside of the US. Something else that I think Hyundai really needs to do is get rid of the start-stop button. I've always been kind of a believer in the start-stop button since I've been driving Ioniq 5s for a long time. But after spending time with the Model Y, I find that it is kind of pointless. They really do it right in that car, and I've found myself now getting out of the car and forgetting to turn it off because in those 2 weeks I just kind of built up the muscle memory to just get out of the car and it would just turn off and lock the doors. So I think Hyundai should eventually go to that. I think it's just kind of a stopgap for people who are used to driving gas cars, getting into EVs versus just going full on in to not having the button, which is fine. Some people really like having the button. I did it first, but now I could live without it. I'm so glad for 2025 they swapped the steering wheel button controls. Everything in the Hyundai family is now cruise control on the left, audio, voice controls on the right. This matches my 2024 Ioniq 6, so if I go back and forth between the two cars, I don't really have to think about it more than I want to. It's just always the same. Let's talk about the software CCNC. I have a long, almost hour-long video going over all the functionality of this if you want to look that up, if you just bought one of these cars and want to know all the settings and everything. I really think this is a big improvement over Gen 5W, which was in the older Ioniq 5s. I see pretty often a lot of people complaining about that it's always in dark mode. There's no white version of the screen. And I can understand that. I prefer dark mode. I use dark mode on my phone and my computer and everything. So I don't really care, but I know a lot of people are turned off by that. But in general, the system works pretty quickly. It's not super laggy or anything. You have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto finally. That has been working flawlessly for me. It always connects super quickly. No more having to worry about plugging my phone in down there. It just works. For 2025, they added a dedicated home button, so it's easy to get back to the home screen now. Yeah, everything's been working fine. Big thing, manual battery conditioning button. Still pretty salty that they have not added that to the older Gen 5W Ioniq 5s because I use this all the time. And a lot of you like using that button too. I will say Hyundai has greatly improved their onboard route planning in the past couple of years. You can tell it what percentage you want to arrive at a charger with. So now it goes down to 10%. And then you can also tell it how much battery percentage you want when you arrive at your final destination. And now the car does have Google POIs built into it. So you can see up here, they just added this within the last year, the little Google Maps icon. So you can just talk to it and say, hey, I want to go here, and it will find it. Navigate to Mercedes-Benz High Power Charging, South Windsor, Connecticut. Get the little Ioniq logo there. We'll hit yes. Should turn on any second. Battery conditioning activated. So yeah, it's gotten a lot better in the last year. It's way more usable. A lot of people still don't like to use it for whatever reason. Now, if I wanted to go somewhere where I didn't want to do any planning, I would just use the built-in system. I really love the new center console design. I'm also really loving that my limited trim has the movable center console, which my old SEL did not. I do use this quite often. Here you can see I do sell a replacement wireless charging pad for the car. This one is Qi 2.2, so it supports up to 25 watts of wireless charging, which is good for most new phones that can charge wirelessly at higher powers. And then that just plugs into the USB-C port down there. This has been working well. You can see that on my website at ioniqguy.com, as well as all sorts of other accessories for the Ioniq 5, including my glasses holders and my adapter holders down here in the center console. I have one. This just stores your adapters so they're not rolling around. I do also sell a glove box version that just sits in there and stays hidden out of sight if you don't need the adapters very often. And of course, I love having all the physical buttons here for heated steering wheel, heated seats, ventilated seats, and camera and everything. I do kind of wish that they left the cup holders in the previous orientation to the old Ioniq 5 where there was side by side in the front. I do find this to be a little bit more cumbersome, and they could have had the Qi wireless charger going right here widthwise. I just think it makes more sense to have the cups at the front versus the side here, but that's just me, but I know some of you also echo that feeling. The Bose sound system here in the limited trim, it's fine, it's decent, it does the job. I don't really listen to a ton of music in the car. I'm basically almost always listening to podcasts, so just people talking, and it does the job just fine. If you like to listen to a lot of music and are an audiophile, you're probably not going to be a big fan of the car, but it is what it is. Hyundai just doesn't seem too interested in putting in a really fantastic sound system into this car. There was no change to the armrest for 2025, so this is all the same as the 22 through 24 Ioniq 5. I really love the panoramic glass roof in here. I basically don't use the retractable sunshade at all. I will say there are times when we're on road trips through midday where I will go ahead and shut the sunshade, but for the most part, especially during the winter time, I just leave it open and it helps kind of warm up and brighten up the interior of the car. I think that's more or less everything I want to talk about here in the front. Let's get in the back. So here we are in the back seat of the car. Seat set for me, it's 6'2". You can see I can get my fingers behind my knees. Not a ton of knee room, also not a ton of foot room, but for a short drive, I'd be perfectly fine sitting behind myself. If I were sitting on the passenger side where I could have them move forward a little bit, I'd be really comfortable back here. But on the B-pillar, you've got air vents that you can direct towards your face, so you can get good airflow back here. Here in the limited trim, rear heated seats, which my friends that ride in the back of the car really love. Also got the sunshades back here, which I don't usually leave up just because they kind of block some of your visibility when looking over your shoulder, so I usually leave them down. If I had children, I'd probably be more inclined to leave them up. But yeah, a nice feature to have if you do have kids or people in the back seat often. From the back seat, you also get a terrific view out the roof. Really opens up the cabin. Got a nice comfortable fold down armrest here in the back. And then for 2025, they did switch all of the USB ports to USB-C, which is great because I don't use USB-A for pretty much anything anymore. So that was really nice. Overall, the back seat is a good place to be. I don't have any issues with it. Alex, in his video about the car, praised it for putting child seats back here. He said there was so much space for kids seats, booster seats. He really liked that. He said it was a big improvement over his Tesla Model Y. So for putting kids back here, it's definitely a good option. And the headroom is really quite good. I've got maybe 2 inches of headroom, maybe a little bit more, but it's really good back here. And then you can also recline the seats for a long drive if you just want to lean back a little bit, or you can also put them in a more vertical position if you are going to prioritize cargo space in the trunk. And then of course, it's one of the few cars where you can slide the rear seats forward and backward to also prioritize cargo space if that's what you need to do. Now getting into the trunk area, I don't have a cargo mat back here anymore because I very rarely carry anything that's covered in snow or dirt or anything. So yeah, you can see there's a good amount of space back here. Unfortunately, for 2025, they did not add any switches in the back here to release these seats for fold down. So if you do want to put them down, you do have to go to the sides still and go like that. And this isn't a two-stage false floor like in some cars. It is just at this single level. And here in the limited trim, you do have a little bit of storage underneath where you could put a charging cable or your adapters or something. But then underneath this is your subwoofer. And this is a new box for 2025, which is basically the switch to change the car from level 2 to level 3 DC fast charging. That's all related to NACS. Over here, you'll see my automatic door lock device. This isn't installed how I would expect anybody else to install it. I just leave this cable out so I have easy access to test devices. But basically what this does is it allows you to just shut all the doors on your car, walk away, and 10 seconds later, the doors will all lock. So you don't have to worry about people seeing your popped out door handles and then going in and going through your stuff and stealing stuff. Just good peace of mind. That's also available on my store at ioniqguy.com. You can see I'm not going to press any buttons, and the door handle should lock any second. So there you go. That's available on ioniqguy.com too if you are interested. So what are my overall thoughts moving from a 2022 to a 2025? I'm super happy with the car. Despite the issue with the high voltage battery pack, the 12 volt battery issue, they took everything I loved about the 2022 and they just took it to 11 in the 2025. There's still a lot of those small nitpicks that I would like to see improved for the full redesign in the next few years. Now, as a car, it does the job fantastically. If you're into buttons and knobs and switches, you literally have basically every manual switch you could possibly ever want in this car. So if that's what you're into, it's perfect for you. If you're somebody coming from a Tesla and you really like the software and touchscreen experience in that car, you're probably going to be underwhelmed by the Ioniq 5. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The software is not up to the same standard as Tesla. But for people who want a traditional, normal feeling car, this is probably the car for you. Now, as I already mentioned, there is the ICCU issue hanging over owners' heads. So you do have to kind of think about your level of risk tolerance when purchasing one of these cars, because I'm not going to say it's definitely going to happen to you, but the odds of it happening to you are more than zero. Of course, your car is going to get fixed under warranty, but at this point, we still don't know. It hasn't been long enough to know whether these new ICCUs going into the cars that are being replaced are improved in any way, shape, or form. We don't know if they're going to last for 10 years or if they're going to last for 1 year. I'm not telling you to buy this car. I'm not telling you to not buy this car. Do your own research and think about what your level of risk you're willing to accept is with your daily car. If this is a second car to you and you don't take it on road trips, you're never going to be more than 50 miles from home, maybe that level of risk is a lot lower for you. If you're a one-car household, you do a lot of road tripping, you don't want to have to think about that issue potentially happening to you, maybe it's not the car for you. But with the almost $10,000 price drop with the 2026 models versus 2025, you can get an Ioniq 5 in the $30,000 range, in the low $40,000 range, and it's a lot of car for the money in my opinion, especially with the bigger battery now. And once you experience the charging speeds of an Ioniq 5, it's really tough to even consider a slower charging car if that's important to you. Having spent some time with the Tesla Model Y and road tripping that, the charging speeds are abysmal for a car that's been on the market for, 6 years now? Tesla just hasn't improved their charging capabilities basically at all with their best-selling cars. So when you do 10 to 80% in this car in 20 minutes, it really spoils you, especially when you experience slower 400-volt charging cars. And in this price point, there's still really no great competition in terms of charging speed. Hyundai, Kia, Genesis are still really the only high-voltage cars in this class. You even have new cars coming out now that are going to compete in this class that are still low voltage, slow charging cars like the Rivian R2, which is going to be around a 30-minute charge time, 10 to 80%, because it's a 400-volt platform. So in terms of high-speed charging, Hyundai, Kia, Genesis are still the leaders in this class. So despite the issues I've had, I am still really happy with this car. I only have 10 months left on this lease before it's going to go away. I don't think that the new version of the Ioniq 5 is going to be announced in the next year. I think we're going to see at least one, possibly even 2 more model years for the current generation of Ioniq 5. So not sure what's going to happen at the end of this lease. Maybe I'll try and extend it if it looks like something new is on the horizon. But yeah, at the minimum, 10 months left with this car, and I will be sad to give this one back because it basically fits all my needs perfectly. Just absolutely love the car. So yeah, if you can look past ICCU issues, I think it's a fantastic car. But if the potential for your car being down and out for several weeks because of part shortages, you might want to think twice. But definitely do your own research and think about your own level of risk tolerance. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this 1-year review of the 2025 Ioniq 5. If you want accessories for your 2025, 2026, or any Hyundai, Kia, Genesis EV, be sure to go to ioniqguy.com and check out the many accessories I have for sale. My channel is self-funded. I very rarely take on sponsorships or take money from companies to shill for them. So the fact that you're purchasing my accessories is what allows me to do this and make these kinds of videos for you guys. So I really appreciate it if you do make a purchase from my store. So if you're regularly watching my videos and you hear me talking about my website, it's because that is the best way to support my business. If you also want to support my business in a different way, you could become a channel member for as little as 99 cents per month, or for $3 per month, you can gain early access to all these videos. I release them to channel members before the general public, and then you can also get a 10% discount to my store at that $3 level. So we'll check back on the Ioniq 5 in another 6 months or a year. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to be up to date with my latest videos. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.